Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Laureli Shimayo. This is MeWe Fairs, your safe space for authenticity and transformation. And part of being authentic and transforming is getting to know your purpose and expressing your purpose. And for many people, that's running a business in something that they believe in that's in alignment with their purpose in a way that they are of service to others, whether they're making products or offering services or whatever other kind of work they're doing in the world. When they're doing it in alignment, I think that's better for everyone. And so part of what we do as a community is we offer our advice for helping people run businesses, run the business they already have, or start and launch a business. It might be a business where you're expressing your gifts and sharing your gifts with people, and it might be in a business working for someone else. There are all kinds of contexts in which you can be sharing who you are in a way that's of service. So we have panels on all kinds of different topics, and this is our panel on business. So starting and growing businesses with spirit or spiritual businesses, all kinds of different things. There are 6 of us total that are on the panel tonight. There are 5 of us up on screen at the moment, and Mike will be up in just a few minutes. So we're going to introduce ourselves and tell you about who we are and what we do. And everybody, feel free to just introduce yourselves however you do. It's fine to talk about business in your intro. Just know that we're going to go back around and we'll share even more about business right after that. So you'll have a chance to share more also. Maybe in your first intro, share more about you and your background and the kinds of things that you offer, your experience, and then we'll go around and talk more about just concepts of how we share our work with other people in the context of business. Gosh, I don't know. Maybe it's all just a little bit more conceptual in the second share. All right, well, great. We've got more people continuing to join us. I'll put the basic information in chat again, and just know we're here for 2.5 hours altogether. We're excited to be together, excited to grow and learn together. All right, well, let's see. So we'll go in a similar order we did before. I think we had Sandra, Tiffany, Jenny, Alina, and then Mike, and then myself. And so, yeah, go ahead and take 2-3 minutes and tell us about who you are and what you do. And we'll talk even more about business after we all go around. So go ahead, Sandra.
Okay, hi, I'm Sandra Jeffs. I'm certified in Theta Healing. I work with energy and light. I've spent 10 years of my life working as a business manager, and at the college level, I taught business courses for almost 3 years. I've created 7 different solopreneur businesses over the years, and today I run 4, which are all heart-centered businesses. In every single instance of forming a new business, I was a beginner in that field. All I had was a desire, a need to do it, and my intuition urging me to do it. In no way was I ready at all. I learned to fly. I learned on the fly how to do it. The message I have is to align your heart with your mind for business and also in life. When your heart is fully committed and your mind aligns with that commitment, your body will follow with the energy, the clarity, and the ability to adjust in the moment without judging yourself that you don't know enough or can't do enough or need more knowledge, more experience, whatever. This is what heart coherence really is. Heart coherence comes when you learn to trust your intuition, and you must trust that your higher self is urging you to do this business. So start wherever you're at right now, waiting for the perfect time, the perfect skills. A lot of money is just a dream denied. The reality is that even if you wait and wait until you think you're ready, when you start, you discover that you still have so much to learn. So just go do it. I have a special. I'm at the end of my Black Friday special of 35% off in my on my website. That's the lowest I ever go on any sales at any time, and it ends tomorrow night. So come by and see my website. Thanks.
And maybe to just say, like, on your website, what range of all kinds of things are on your website that they might find?
Okay, well, I have my sessions. I am a feng shui master, so I have consultations with that. I have theta consultations, energy and light consultation sessions. I sell spiritual jewelry, malas. I have spiritual artwork, photography, a whole range of things. Malas like the one I'm wearing. That's about it.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
All right. Next is Tiffany.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany Rose, founder of Regal Rose Consulting, where intuitive insight meets creative strategy to help spirit led entrepreneurs bring their visions to life. For years, I've supported coaches, healers, small business owners in building aligned and impactful brands. I design beautiful, functional websites, create cohesive graphics and content, help clients launch Etsy shops, social media campaigns, refine their messaging, and strategize ways to stand out online with authenticity and soul. I weave together the practical with the magical, whether it's marketing, branding, simply helping clients move from stuck to inspired. A big part of my work includes emotional intelligence coaching and inner child healing, which helps entrepreneurs release imposter syndrome and limiting patterns so they can show up with confidence. I also offer spiritual hygiene coaching, clearing negative energy and unwanted spiritual interference from both entrepreneurs and their businesses, because aligned energy plus aligned strategy equals aligned success. I have some specials tonight. All are available for 72 hours, and a few of them are going a little bit longer than that. I have $99 for a 90-minute business brainstorming session. That's nearly 50% off. $88 for a 60-minute money Reiki session. So clearing blocks, activating your receiving, amplifies abundance. That's $100 off that session. $15 off an Etsy or website building process. So that's almost $300 off a deluxe website. My ebooks are 60% off on Etsy. You can find those on the homepage of my website. It's Spiritual Hygiene 101, so learning to clear your energy, and Spiritual Ghost Busting 101 for when you're ready to clear unwanted spirits and just understanding who they are, how not to be afraid, how to meet them with love and kindness. Both of those packages include how-to guides and pendulum charts so that you can get started right away. All my Oracle readings on my Etsy shop are 50% off, and most of my website listings are anywhere from 23 to 50% off. The main first specials, you're going to want to email me within 72 hours to lock in those prices. So that was the 99 for 90 minutes or the 88 money Reiki session. Same thing with the website creation. I'm so glad you're all here. We're looking forward to chatting with you and answering all of your questions.
Thanks, Tiffany. Next, Jenny.
Hi, everybody. This is Jenny Cappella with Miracles with Jenny. I'm an intuitive life and crisis transitions coach, and I love to marry my practical skills with my intuitive skills to assist people in moving forward in life with whatever their career path is and in other areas of their life too. For example, some of my clients are in multiple transitions. They're going through a divorce and they got laid off from their job. And there's a lot of things up in the air, like throwing confetti up in the air. And so I love to be a grounding force along with a deep heart listening for them and listening deeply from the perspective of where is their soul headed? Where is their highest self calling them? And speaking of transitions, I've been through many in my life. My journey to get to this point where I'm fully out there as a spiritually based business and still doing some corporate work, if you will, but that has been quite a journey. I've been in and out, and would poke my head out and go back in, and it was all about fear. It was fear of how I'd be perceived, fear of how I'm going to make money, all the fears. And so I've learned to come out of the spiritual closet, as I say. And I love assisting people who are making those kind of transitions as well. Right now, I have a special on my whole website, or not my whole website, I apologize. For 1 hour readings with me, you can get 50% off as long as you sign up by December 4th. And you can go see those at miracleswithjenny.com. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Jenny. I'm going to put everyone's contact info in the chat again, too. Alina's next.
My name is Alina, and I started out as a crystal healer and opened my first business in 2021, so it hasn't been that long. But that has been a long time coming because I've been trying to wrap my head around how to get started, and then I took a course on spiritual business. And that's when I kind of got the things rolling. The business is still active and I still use it for most of my business needs. It's called Down to Earth Crystal Healer. And I love it, and it's my alma mater, and that's my bare bones and base of everything. But I ended up outgrowing it. And at some point during a very intense Mars retrograde in my 12th house, those who know will probably know what it means. I regretted it, And I realized that I need to add more to just crystal healing because now I know more and I learned more and I can do more. And that's how subtle matters has become a thing. So today, what I did was I looked back into my materials from spiritual business course and found the crystals that can be used for different business aspects. Your business has chakras and your business has a natal chart, believe it or not. Um, and I will not go into natal chart and astrology. It's very intense and it's a lot, and I am not ready for it. I'm not gonna lie. So I'll focus on the crystals for today. And what I can do is I can recommend different crystals that you can work with, very specifically work. And what it means to work with crystals. Um, when you're running a business, when you need more energetic assistance, and when you feel stuck or fear or overwhelmed or anything else, and I have a whole lot of recommendations when I, pulled all my materials together. So I don't have any particular specials. That being said, I do have a free ebook on my website called Crystals for Business. And you're more than welcome to just grab it right there. It's at the top and it's related to what I'm talking about today.
All right, great. It seems like Mike is not quite ready yet. I'll share about myself. I'm Laureli Shimayo. In this metaphysical world, I typically describe myself as an intuitive eye reader and body psychology coach. And I got here along my own pathway of work, starting in academia and then working in kind of the applied science field, and then ended up in intellectual property, and then entrepreneurial businesses with consumer products, and eventually leadership coaching. And along the way of how I transitioned and got to leadership coaching is I started learning personality assessments, which has led to my eye reading work. So I worked at one point in one of the largest private, or it was the largest private business in the US. So like enormous, an itty bitty little person trying to find my way through and learning all the politics of all that, and disappointment of the ideals I had for how the world worked, and realizing reality, just like so many of us. And and then I worked in really tiny businesses. I was in a tiny intellectual property law firm at one point, and a really tiny consumer product business. Some of what's really fun working in a small business is you get to do a lot of different things. In the intellectual property business, I had pretty much, just a little spot that I did and the same thing over and over. But in the entrepreneurial business, I got to do so many different things. They were also open to the personality assessments that I had been learning. And so I got to hire 50 people as we grew. I got to help them with team dynamics and all with using my eye readings and how to assess who's going to be the best person for something, who's going to fit well with the team and the way the culture is wanting to grow. And then eventually I was starting to study with somatic psychotherapists and got to combine together the assessments that I was doing with a deeper understanding of psychology and my own personal history of having grown myself and all the lessons I learned in my family of origin, right, working with people. I've come to realize that I'm autistic, and that's part of why I see the world differently and all the trauma that I've had. I also studied authentic relating and shared authentic relating practices with people over all the years. And all this together has helped me better understand people and navigating people. So running a business, an entrepreneurial business, it's a mixture of knowing what we want to share in the world, what's wanted, and how do we balance caring for ourselves and caring for the others that we're delivering, whatever it is that we're sharing, and attempting to balance all that together. And the aim is to keep sharing our work in a way that's more and more in alignment with who we are. I believe that when we do what we love, what is our purpose, we get more energized in that process, and it's what fuels us to continue to give. So the more we line up, the more service we're able to make, the more we're able to be of service. So along the way, like all these things, I clearly scientist and work with all kinds of data, but then also ended up learning intellectual property consulting. And so that's one of the things that I offer in a business context with people, like how to think about what intellectual property is and how do we want to share that with the world or utilize that in a way that really empowers us in our business and fuels us to continue to give more and more. So also just in leadership coaching and looking at the dynamics of teams working together and setting goals together and making progress on things together. And these are lessons that I, like so many of us, are just endlessly learning at the same time. So my aim in working with you generally would be if it's about you and your business and what you might be doing with your business and what you might do yourself and who you might, I would say who you might hire or collaborate with, is looking at your eyes and looking at what your strengths are and seeing what things it would be better for you to have others do, whether you hire them or whether you partner with them, etc. So looking at that and looking at how you can direct your business so that it's more and more towards your purpose. And then whatever practical skills and tools I have from intellectual property or from all the events that I run with MeWe fairs and supporting community with those, the marketing that I do with that, how to represent yourself in something like a resume, or even just tweaking titles of things and offerings that you make and where you might share those with the world. I'm available to share all those different kinds of things with you. So that's me. You can find out more about my iReadings work at intuitiveeyereading.com, and more of my kind of coaching, leadership coaching, business work is at thrive-wise.com. And I'll put my contact info in the chat too. And Mike's not quite ready yet. Mike's the juggle, right, of our personal life and our professional life and the mixture of all those. So Mike will be in to introduce himself shortly. And just so you know a little bit of what Mike does. Mike is tarot. He's justenoughtarot.com. So he does tarot readings and business consulting, speaking, coaching. If you saw the Facebook Live, you got a little bit of his history, and he's got a really rich history working with people and being out in the public. And you'll hear about him when he introduces himself. So we're happy to have him here too. So let's come around and let's talk a little bit more about like, why are we interested in having spiritual information be influencing what we do in business? You know, and what are maybe some of what we particularly need to know in running a spiritual business that might be different than some of the other businesses that we might run. You know, and many of us, we have this whole crossover of like, there's a spiritual foundation and we cross into all sorts of things also. Or we have business doing all kinds of other things. Like I still do a little bit of intellectual property consulting. That's like way off over there. So yeah, just all the different things that we do. So I'll just hand it back to Sandra. And if you have something you want to share, great. Otherwise, just pass it along and we'll talk a little bit about that conceptually. And I'll say for all of you in the audience, I'll put the information back in the chat again. We're going to be available to answer general questions for free. And then the thing that really supports us in running the panel and helps us bring in more and more people to events like this is if you are interested in paying to ask a personal question, something that would help you and your business. It might be what business you might run if you want to, you know, what you might start, if you want to actually have a business, if you want to keep it as a hobby, and then how you might grow that business. And if you have a business already, yeah, how do you grow? How do you reach the people that you really want to reach? How do you have the products or services in the world that you want to have? All those kinds of things. And the sliding scale, 20, 24, or 28, or $12 for BIPOC folks. Again, I'll put all that info in the chat. And if you want to ask a question, you can come up on stage with us. You can ask from the audience, and you also can ask privately and confidentially if you private chat me, and then I'll just read everything out. So we're excited to support you wherever you are in your journey. So yeah, Sandra, what else did you want to share about business and running businesses with spirit or spiritual businesses?
Well, I grew up extremely poor, and my first entrepreneurial business was I was 11 years old, and I have worked constantly since 11 years old. And it was driven by need because my shoes had holes in it, and I lived in the mountains where there was a lot of snow. So I wanted to make some more money so I could have shoes, basically. And that just propelled me. I've always been extremely creative. I am an author. I spent most of my working years working, you know, I paid my own way through college, working as a bartender and waitress. And I was intuitive and trying to figure out how come as an empath, how these things, I was having visions. What was this all about? Was that crazy? And there really wasn't anybody around to assist me with figuring this out. Most of my working career, the first 12 years, was in business, and then I was in academia at the universities for another 25, 26 years, I forget how many. And so I was doing things on the side and then going into work, and they were kind of separate. So when I finally retired from the university, I thought I'd do this, I do that, I do this. I had like 10 things as a true Gemini, interested and curious about everything and doing everything. What is the key factor? And so I wish I had had a mentor to tell me when I was in my 20s or my 30s that it was all connected. It always had been connected. It was spirit speaking to me and So when I work with people, I work with remembering that we are at our core, we are a soul. We're a spirit temporarily in this physical body. What we are is a spirit, and expressing that spirit is everybody's purpose. Everybody's, whether it's just the modality that you might express it in, whether it's art or music or business. It can be very left brain and very right brain. It doesn't matter. It's expressing that divine love, that divine spirit that we are. So everything that I do now, I realize has that common thread. It all comes from my soul. And I encourage and work with people to get rid of the limiting beliefs that tell you otherwise, and all the advertising and programming that we've had happen that makes us limit ourselves. So that's me.
Great. Thanks, Sandra. We're just going to dive back over to Mike, where Mike will do his introduction, and then we're going to hop back in talking more generally about business. Mike, you got 2 or 3 minutes. Tell us about you and all the things that you do. And then we're going around and talking even more conceptually about business. And who knows? We're just going to talk about all this stuff.
Okay, my name is Mike Hernandez. I'm a professional tarot reader. I'm 70 this year, so I've got a long background of 4 different careers. I was a musician for 15 years. I was in the IT industry for 25. I've been an actor for 10 and a tarot reader for 17 and counting. So I bring a long background of experience in public speaking and doing that type of thing. I've literally been in the public eye since 1973. Um, I worked at retail for Egghead Software, the largest software retailer in the country. I worked manufacturing. I've worked in the military. I've worked in IT. I was Microsoft program manager, product manager, and marketing manager for a number of years. I did some small business consulting specifically for metaphysical stores and stuff after I got on Microsoft, and then I got into acting. That's kind of weird. So I bring a wealth of experience to what I do, just basic, very pragmatic, very practical, learn on the job type of thing, which is very surprising for me because all I have is a high school diploma. I never went to college. So everything I've done has been just hard work, keep your head down, trust yourself, be confident, and go for it. And that's what I like to say to people that I work with. And the one thing I always try to tell people is always learn. Never be afraid to say, I don't know. People appreciate that, right? If you don't know, fine. Say I'll go find out, or maybe we can talk to somebody else, but it doesn't matter. You know what you know. That's the best thing you do, and that builds a lot of confidence. So I'm here to hopefully bolster some confidence in people and answer some questions and do whatever I can while we're here. And that's about it. I'm just so excited.
Great. Thanks so much, Mike. All right. We're going to hop back onto the round of just talking more about business. Tiffany's next.
I'm so excited to share about building spirit-led businesses because I believe your business is an extension of your soul's work. When you combine grounded strategy with intuitive guidance, you create something magnetic, something that feels aligned, sustainable, and deeply fulfilling. So I'm going to share with you, here's what I see as the key elements of a thriving, soul-aligned business. 1, brand clarity. Know who you are, know who you serve, and the transformation that you offer. 2, presence. Your digital footprint should feel cohesive, recognizable, and authentic. 3, your visual identity. Your graphics, your colors, imagery, all of that needs to carry the emotional tone of your brand. Content for number 4, words that connect. Speak your client's language, but still sound like you. 5 is mindset, the inner work that removes the doubt, the fear, the resistance that can slow your growth. And 6, spiritual hygiene, keeping your energy clear so that your intuition, your creativity, and opportunity can flow. Each piece is a spoke in the wheel. When one is missing, the ride gets a little bumpy. But when they all work together, your business moves forward with confidence and momentum. I've been in the spiritual, just business world, separate from, 9-to-5 jobs since my 20s. I started out as a musician, like Mike was saying, except I was a singer on many large stages. And we were constantly having to promote ourselves. So that's where I picked up building websites, doing photography, graphic design. I was doing that for other musical artists and stuff. And through the years, I just love making art, but adding in that spirituality, that's really my soul's work. And that's what feels fulfilling to me, just as I'm sure it does for you guys.
All right. All right, great. Thank you. All right. So next we have Jenny.
One of the things I really want to share tonight is the concept of the intuitive and the practical. So I work with a lot of my clients with the 10 main, and this is a gross exaggeration or big picture here because there's subcategories to this, but 10 key or main areas of occupational interest. Now, there's a lot of things that we are motivated to do with tasks. Some of us love to do artistic endeavors, visually oriented, audio, etc. Other people don't. That's not their favorite thing to do. But one of the interesting things is sometimes in our lives, we get pigeonholed into, well, gosh, I'm really good at this. I guess I should do this as a career. I've got a client, for example, who is brilliant with numbers. All through college, he took honors calculus. It makes my head spin. That is definitely not my strength. Anyway, he was brilliant at that. But he just kept having this nagging feeling like something was just off. I'm so good at this. And he was heading down a career path, actually, of being in financial services. However, when we looked at this particular tool that I use, we saw that he had a very low motivation level for anything to do with data and numbers. Now, it didn't make logical sense. Logically, you would think, well, this is where I could start my business, whether it's spiritually based or not. Somehow I could be involved with numbers and data. So if he had kept going down that traditional career path of aligning what we are good at without thinking what we're motivated and coupling the two of them together, sometimes it doesn't work out so well. So for example, people always say about me, Jenny, you're so organized. And I am. I'm really good at that. But I have about a 50% motivation level out of from 0 to 100 motivation, with 100 being like super motivated and 0 being drain, don't make me do it. I've got some of those, by the way, that are low, and I try to avoid those. But anyway, I am really good at it. And to survive in certain respects with my upbringing, that whole way of using my mind to organize things, to organize people, organizing situations, it was how I used my mind. And so I started thinking, well, I could go down this particular path where those kind of skills were more utilized. But over time, when I got through that childhood and that early adulthood where I was using those talents a lot, it started to feel like it was waning, and it started to feel like, this isn't right to my soul, to my heart, to my body. I started feeling drained. So I'd like to just impart to you tonight to think about, what are you told that you're good at, and does it motivate you? Because if it doesn't, it's not that you shouldn't do it. In fact, it might be a bridge position. Sometimes we need to do that, or we can do a little part of it. But over time, if we're doing things like my client I told you about, if he become a banker or a financial planner, what would have happened to him most likely is he would have made a lot of money and eventually been burned out and couldn't possibly figure out why. Because that key element of, am I motivated and loving and energized by these tasks, coupled with skilled at them. So I'd like to leave you with that.
Great. Thanks, Jenny. And pass it over to Alina.
So I have a little presentation on the crystals that can be used for business, if that is a good time for that or not. And is it
Yeah, go
okay?
ahead. Yeah,
So
go ahead.
let me share my screen let me share my screen and I'll show you. Those are the crystals that some of them I do use for business, and others are a little too strong for me personally, but you may find them beneficial because it really depends on your own toric field and energy level. So here is, and okay. All
Great. We can see it now.
right. Yes, I'm trying to present it. Is what I'm trying to do there. There we go. So crystals for business.
Maybe click on the present full screen. Okay, great. Yeah, there it is. It was just slow on my end.
I did.
Right.
So those are the crystals that can be used in different aspects of business. This is just a little bit about me, but that information is in the chat, so I don't think I need to repeat that. Here we go. Crystals for marketing. One of the aspects is to, get your name out there and tell people about who you are, what you do, and how you do it. So, pink spinel, uh, a little pricey, kind of hard to get, but if you find a specimen that you can afford, go for it. It's a really like a fiery, sparkly energy that will help you kind of talk about yourself a whole lot. And that's the one that you will see the word tribe being used in the slide because that's like your vision with your tribe. Who's your tribe? Your tribe is your target audience at the end of the day. So Spinal will help you share your business vision with them. The oldie but goodie rose quartz, and that's the one that will help you, give yourself enough love to kind of put yourself out there without fearing judgment. Pink calcite, interestingly, calcite in and of itself is a focus stone. Any color calcite will give you focus and concentration, but pink calcite is the one that will, you know, give you more heart focused focus and concentration. So that's the one where you will be like genuine and authentic in what you do. Rubellite, the pink or red variety of tourmaline. My apologies, I lost my screen that I'm sharing. What did I do?
Disappeared for you.
Yeah. It says that I'm screen sharing, but I'm not seeing it.
We can still see your screen.
Here it is. Okay, I got you. All right. No, I did something. um, that's the rubellite. The pink or red tourmaline will let you shine your passion out there through your marketing messages. That's when you come up with a page. I am this and this and this, and it will let you get the best out of it. Um, from what I know, working with pink and red tourmaline, pink is softer and it's the one that you may want to start with. And then the red one is more intense and it's kind of like once you're already there, you just need a little more oomph. That's when you do the work with the red tourmaline. Morganite, which is a younger brother of aquamarine, and that is a pink variety of beryl, and that's the one that helps you speak from the heart. Lepidolite. I love working with that one. It's the one that will help you communicate your passion, but also will tame your emotions where you will not go too far into the crying and sobbing story. Pink opal. Um, this was the one recommended by my mentor. Um, I I do work with opals, but I don't work with opals because on the one hand, it's a great you know, kind of like a soft stone. On the other hand, people may ignore you if you wear it. So maybe don't go in public wearing opal. Just use it when you're working on your business privately. Networking. you know, uh, uh, Meeting other professionals who are just like you. And you will see there is a lot of blue in this slide because blue is the color of the throat chakra, and that's the one that will help you get your name out there to others. Blue calcite, again, another color of calcite, the one that will give you focus on concentration and help you talk about yourself. Um, Larimar, if you can obtain even the smallest piece, please do. They're very rare these days. And that's the one that will promote the connection and communication with other professionals. Celestite will not just aid with communication, but also bring the necessary angelic help into your business if you are in need of it, because celestite is one of those angelic connection stones. Um, Blue quartz, also another one, just a simple communication stone. Blue kyanite. Kyanite can be worked at any chakra, and really, you don't even need to set the intention with that. It pretty much knows what you want. Emerald. Um, Speak from the heart. Emerald can be uh, more or less bluish, greenish, depending on the cut. And that's the one that connects the heart and the throat chakras and kind of helps them, work together. Turquoise, wonderful, wonderful positive stone that promotes the communication with intention, not just saying anything for the sake of saying it, as I sometimes do. Blue lace agate, the another one, oldie but goodie, and that's the one that's always recommended for communication, talking, speaking, getting the word out there, and just releasing your thoughts. There we go. Planning. So you sit down to write your business plan or to write something that you want to do in this business venture, and then what? You just kind of like in front of this blank page, and what am I gonna do? And then a lot of distractions happen. Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. Um, the focus stones. Golden tiger's eye, just a regular tiger's eye, and that's the one that gets you laser focused. It's very intense stone, so I wouldn't work with it for a very long time. But when you just need the concentration for the next like hour or two, that's wonderful. Rainbow fluorite can be combined with golden tiger's eye if you need a lot of concentration. There is a lot of spots around. The younger brother of tiger's eye is the bullseye, and that is a red variety of tiger's eye. It just has a little hematite inclusions in it. And that's the one that keeps you focused, motivated. And both tiger's eye and bullseye are protective stones, so they also offer some protection to you. Aragonite, if you look at the stone, there's like all kinds of different points looking in all directions. It helps put those details together. They're kind of like all coming into the same center. Aquamarine, I just mentioned morganite a couple slides ago. That's the one that will help you go with the flow and, change if needed, because things happen all the time. Herkimer, that is the one that I would add to other crystals to make them work stronger, but it does give mental clarity when you plan. So I would combine it with another stone or two just to amplify their energies. And then there is ruby and red garnet. Now, ruby is a corundum, and it is a very strong masculine stone. So that's the one that, I can see the target, I don't see no obstacles. And if this is the energy that you crave, then this is what you want to use for when you plan your business. Red garnet, on the other hand, is softer. It's more feminine in its energy. So it's it gets you more grounded. So, ruby will push you forward. Red garnet will be like, okay, stop, just pause and, regroup yourself before you go further. That's kind of what we have here. And then there's always a business mindset. So, it's not easy to build a business when you don't have the correct set of mind. Charoite is the one that will let you step into your entrepreneur shoes. It's a very versatile stone, and it also helps you very calmly make decisions that you need to make. Citrine, and I will go to citrine a little further in the slideshow because that is the one that does a lot of things, and confidence is one of them. Confidence in yourself and your business, and just uh, releasing the fear. I already mentioned the golden tiger's eye. It is multifunctional. So mental clarity and removing mental clutter, because it is a focus stone. It lets you just concentrate on what you need to concentrate. Um, Pyrite, um, it is considered a money stone by many. Um, you can keep it where you keep your bills and checks, but it also gives a lot of strength because it's just a very high vibrational stone. Highlight, just a pure white highlight is the one that lets you see the big picture. You kind of like you're all in this rut of the details, and then you can just step aside, look at what's going on, and kind of like a painter who is working on the details and then steps away from the painting to see the whole thing. Lepis. Lepis is a throat and third eye chakra stone, and that's the one that will help you approach your business from that energetic place where you normally don't get to because you're like literally in the middle of it, of all the mundane things going on. And Amber, bright side of any situation, whatever happens, bloopers like I just had, or mistakes made, or anything, people coming and going, and you just uh, kind of get into the mindset of um, it could have been worse. you know that's what Ember does for you. Okay, back to citrine. There is a tiny little ritual that you can have with citrine on your solar plexus chakra, and that is the one for your confidence and self-worth. So you can just sit anywhere you want. You can close your eyes or turn the music on, put some incenses, whatever rocks your boat. Um, get a piece of citrine. I would recommend trying to find a natural one, but that is the subject of debate. And so again, whatever rocks your boat, natural or heat treated. If you hold a citrine crystal over your solar plexus chakra for about 8 to 10 minutes, a few times a day, um, that you can do it with intention, or you can just start out by not knowing what your intention is, because it will eventually come. And that's the one that helps you kind of build that self-confidence and grow that self-worth that you have. And solar plexus chakra is exactly where all of that sits. Okay, prosperity grid. This is the simplest square grid with 4 pieces of citrine at each corner and just your prosperity intention in the center. It can be as big or as small as you want, as long as it's square. And your prosperity intention is literally just the piece of paper where you write, this is how much I want to make, or this is how much I want to bring this month, or just even if it's just a number, $1 million by next month, fine, just do it. And the grid needs to be activated. I will get to that in just a minute. Another little ritual, and that is removing a blocks to success with a simple quartz point. If you can find this, yes.
I just wanted to check in and get an idea of how many more slides you have, and like maybe we can do a little bit more
how many more?
I think
I have just 1, 2, 3, 3.
Hey, yeah, go
After
ahead.
this one.
Yeah, go ahead, jump back in and go ahead and finish.
Okay. Oh, here we go. If you can invest into a simple, clear quartz point, please do so, because that will help you in many directions, including meditation. If you just get comfortable and sit down somewhere, you can close your eyes, hold your crystal point in your hands, anywhere. It doesn't have to be in front of any particular chakra. And, take deep breaths. And as you do, acknowledge your fears. What are you afraid of? Give them a name, look them in the eye, and then thank your ego self for protecting you, because that's what it's there for, and assure your ego brain that, we're working on it, we'll get through it. And then when you're ready, just take a deep breath in, open your eyes, and come back to reality. It's a small meditation that doesn't take long. I talked about citrine for 8 to 10 minutes. This one can take as little as 2 to 5 minutes, and you can repeat it as many times as you feel that you have to. Crystal grid. So I already showed a citrine grid, the one that's the square one. What I do is I normally use the pattern called Seed of Life. I'll show you on the next slide. To create a crystal grid for, well, pretty much anything. Seed of Life is this universal sacred geometry shape that can be used for grading. The first thing for crystal grid is intention. What is it for? What do you need it for? Okay, that's the first ingredient. And then you gather the stones. They can be all the same, they can be different, there can be a different one in the center and others on the edge. It's up to you. The main focus, the anchor stone, is the one that represents your intention. Whether it's networking or mindset or planning or anything else, you can put that one in the center of the grid. And you can say your affirmations when you're placing the crystals on the grid template. I just realized I have a typo there. You can say it out loud, you can say it silently, or you can, yes, write your intention and place it under the stone or underneath the grid. And then you place the remaining stones in the outside circles. So activation of the grid, I will show you in a minute, and make time to connect to the energy of your grid regularly. That's the one where you don't just make it and leave it there. Every once in a while, you might want to walk up to it, take another look, maybe place your hands over it and repeat your intention again. Work with its energy, let it affect you. And make note of the positive changes when they happen, because that's how you can track the progress. Activation. So this is a tiny video that shows how to activate the grid. You start at the center and go to one of the stones, then go to the next one and back to the center and to the previous one, and so on and so forth. When I do it, I usually repeat my intention or read it out loud. That's it. This is what Seed of Life looks like. I have a handout where you can download that pattern and specific crystals that you can use for the grid. And this is it. It looks like. I'm gonna stop my sharing. There we go.
Great.
Whew, that was a lot. But um, uh, everything, all the handout and the ebook are on my website. You can just grab it there. And let me know if there's any questions.
Great, great. And you might bring some of those up as specific solutions for people depending on what's going on. All right, great. And Mike, anything else you want to share, just in the context of business and okay. We're just talking about in general, like any other ways conceptually that you think of business or applying spiritual tools to business or running a spiritual business or any of those kinds of things. Can you hear me?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry,
Oh,
maybe when I say
no,
your name, it's not coming through. Is there anything else you want to share in the context of business?
not just yet.
Okay, great. Well, let's see. So we're open for questions. We would love to answer your questions. If you have some general questions about business, we can talk about that. It's free, or we would love to answer specific questions for you, supporting you in your journey of whether you want to launch a business, what that business might look like, how and when to launch it. If you've already got a business that's launched, is there some challenge that you're running into? We want to be able to support you in that. If there's something new you're wanting to do with your business and the direction you're wanting to take it, or you're launching a course, or you want to set up an Etsy site, or any of those kinds of things, we are here to support you in that. Oh yeah, if you want to ask a question, it's a low price, 20, 24, 28, or $12 for BIPOC folks, and probably all of us will have something to share based on our history, our experience, and the insight that we bring in with all of our metaphysical tools. Oh yeah, if someone has a question, we do ask that you pay first, and then let us know in the chat that you've paid, and let me know if you want to come on stage, if you want to ask from your seat in the audience, or if you want to ask anonymously and then write me a private chat about that one. Oh, yeah. Oh, anyone have any questions? I mean, you could just write in the chat too if you do already own a business. Do you have a job? Do you have a hobby on the side that you're wondering about making a business? Do you have a job and a business? Like, how many businesses do you have? So feel free if you want to give us any context for where you are on this journey. And sometimes with our panels, a little quiet until someone gets started with a question. And if there aren't any questions that are just diving in, if any of us of the 6 have questions, we can answer our questions too. I guess maybe I'll just say something that occurs to me. So Sandra, we were talking about the image that you have behind you a little bit earlier, and you said that you've had it for a long time. I think the energy that we surround ourselves in as we're running our business really matters a lot. And so Alina was talking about the energy of crystals and even just the energy of sacred geometry and colors and all these kinds of things and what the context is where we do our work.
Yeah, I work a lot with sacred geometry because it's everywhere. It's in nature. That's why it's sacred. And so I make sacred geometry jewelry, spiritual jewelry, because what you wear on your body as a feng shui master, it's about all of the energy all around you. How many plants do you have in your home? All of that you can align with your own energy to support you in your endeavors really helps. So this image I found back a long time ago. And now you can create them with AI, but I love to work with anything sacred geometry because it pulls in that universal energy, and that will ground you and also raise your vibration. Colors also, colors and everything that Alina was saying about the stones, having gemstones, wearing gemstones, and what energy do you want against your body? Not wearing synthetic, but wearing more cottons and natural fibers so that you're keeping your body outside. And as Tiffany said, that spiritual cleanse inside. It helps to have things around you that are clean and pure that you put on your body so you can keep your spiritual energy clear.
We're getting some general questions. I'm attempting to rewrite some of these just a little bit. Well, this is a big general question, so let's see if we might this first one to maybe be focused so that we talk about maybe 3 things that worked best for us when we started out. So, and in this case, I think the person's asking when we started the spiritual component of our business. So one of the spiritual businesses that we're running, that we're in now, what are some of the maybe the top 3-ish things, some of the top 3 things that worked best for us as we got started? Yeah, go ahead, Tiffany.
So I originally started out with crystals and making jewelry for people based on what they had going on in their life. So they would walk up to me, tell me kind of what they had going on or what their concerns were. And I'd be like, oh, you need this crystal, and this crystal. I'm going to make it for you right now. And they would come back. And then years later, I wanted to move to more of a talking venture. And so I felt like, well, who am I? So I had that imposter syndrome. Like, what makes me special to go out there and talk to them? I started taking classes. So that's my number one, was taking classes. I used Udemy, udemy.com. There's a ton of classes, even some free ones on there if you know how to search it. And I started getting certifications. So I started out with life coaching certifications. I think I have 6 or 7 of them now. And then I did some crystal classes, how to lay different crystals on people's body. I did Reiki mastery on multiple levels. I just kept taking classes and taking classes until I kind of found my niche. And then as far as getting my spiritual business out there, so if you already know what you want to teach or what you want to give out, I built an Etsy shop. I've now given, I think, over 450 readings on there. I do a lot on my Etsy shop, from digital download products like my ebooks that have you download the ebook, you get pendulum charts, to oracle readings, to galactic astrology sessions. I also have a bunch of meditations on there. So I just kept building things, and people come to me for different reasons. So I really diversified myself. And then putting a website up, that was a really big move for me, because then I could take coaching clients and, have a place where they could go on and book me right then and there with a calendar. Those were some of the big things that I did. I also got myself out there as far as, like, once you have a website, how are people going to see you? So I have social media platforms. I attend fairs and panels to, get yourself out there talking and let people experience what kind of magic you have to bring to the table. And then they book you from there. So those are some of the main things that I did to kind of get going.
Great. Thanks so much. Anyone else want to share? Okay, great. Jenny.
So, as I mentioned earlier, it has been quite a journey to come out of the spiritual closet, so to speak. And one of the greatest things that has happened to me in the past, I'm going to say year, just about a year, was being introduced to these MeWe events. And I just cannot say enough good and positive about Laureli for the plethora of events that she has. If you don't know what they are, go check them out on her. Yeah, thank you, Mike. Agreed. Yay. Go check them out on the website. For example, I'm a mentor, a regular mentor and I recognize some of you in the audience who come to these at spiritual business, or not, well, spiritual gift practice circles, or they're just really called practice circles. And so those are a place where people can come. Anybody here could come to these to attend and practice your spiritual gifts. And it is astounding, the evolution that's happening to people that are coming to these practice circles. It is awesome. And it impacts all of us. So, it's not just like we mentors are behind this iron gate watching everybody evolve, because I'm evolving too. Recently, thanks to Laureli, she's heard me tell a story about my ET background, my background with seeing ships and talking to them and all that. And so she just very gently encouraged me to, maybe share the story at the practice circle. I know. She's like a little mother bird shoving me out of the nest. Get up, get up. But I'm bringing this up because in the bigger, I'll tell you, I'll tag back into that in a second, but just the bigger context of this is get around people who are already doing these things or who want to do these things, so that you're nourished by that, you're fed by that, instead of living in a desert with no water, right? Where you're like trying to start something and there's nothing that's feeding you. So back to the ET story. Eventually, I was at a fair, another one of her fairs. It was in Olympia, Washington, and I did 2 talks. And she helped me come up with a title. It was called "The Reluctant ET Whisperer," and there's a whole story behind that. But the point is that there was no one in the first day of the talk, and that was fine. But the second day, there was an audience full of people, and I was blown away at how eager and how much my spirit and soul was meant to, built for having these kind of dialogues with people. And I just, everybody was asking me, people raise their hand in the audience, tell me, what do you see, Jenny? What do you see about my AT experience? What do you think? And what's my purpose related to the extraterrestrials and all? And it just came pouring out of me. And so that's just an example of being around people that can uplift you and that have skills and just talents. And just can't thank Laureli enough for that, because now I helped a client. I'll wrap it up by saying I had a client just the other day, and he was asking me, well, Jenny, do you see, what do you think I am? Right. And I happen to think that just we are kind of a hybrid of different kind of races, potentially of ET races. But in any case, this person asked me that, and I just got this nudge from spirit. And the nudge was to interview him just in the session. And I started talking to whoever is around him, and it poured out of him this incredible information, like things that we're doing on the planet and things that they're here to help us with. Absolutely incredible. So get yourself surrounded by these kinds of events and people that are like-minded, that can uplift you and support you and bring you to that place where your gifts are being served up for you on a silver platter. Thank you, Laureli.
You're welcome, Jenny. Thanks so much for your appreciation and for taking those nudges. Timing that works for you. All right, Mike is next.
So I want to say a real quick thing about working with crystals again, that I used to do some work with it. And one of the things that I think is important, at least it was for me, was to make sure that you're grounded, right? Make sure you're well grounded when you start working with crystals, because it's so much easier to do the work, I think. That's been my experience. I happen to be a person gifted with the ability to talk to trees. And I have certain trees that I've known throughout the Pacific Northwest and down here in California. And I go to one by the post office, believe it or not, that I made friends with. And every so often when I feel overwhelmed about something, I just go stand by my tree, I grab a leaf and just get grounded. It's so beautiful. I mean, it's grounding. The tree will tell me, it's okay, Mike, you're just stressed out. You're doing too much. Just chill. Take it easy. Go have a little dram of scotch and you'll be okay. I have cool trees. So my advice is, if you have any trees around you, take a look at them. If one sort of looks kind of nice that you sort of visually attracted to, go stand by it. Put your hand on the bark or grab a leaf and just sit and just relax. Don't think about anything. Don't worry about what you got to do in the next 5 minutes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Where you are right there, present in the moment, just getting grounded, just being centered, just being calm is real cool. It's so amazing. Now, I used to do this when I work with crystals because, again, because I was grounded, I could work with the crystals better. That was me. I'm not going to say that it'll work for everybody or everybody should do it, but for me, it was a really good experience that I would recommend you trying. Now, on this whole thing about getting out with people that are like-minded and everything, it's so important that you get out and work with people, like Jenny was saying. When I was up in the Pacific Northwest, I did a lot of the major psychic fairs that were up there. I made sure that I was at 7 different psychic fairs, and I read about 6 or 7 major metaphysical stories. I was out all the time, and I got to know people. And that's a great way to build your business, because I built a great business. Hard to do down here in Southern California. I'm not quite sure why, but that's another subject. So you're building your business. And the thing about talking to other people that are like-minded, I've learned in my 70 years that sometimes you touch more people than you think. You really do. There are people that you talk to on a day-to-day basis that you touch and you don't even know it. For some reason, I made it more of an effort the past 5 years to say hi to people and wish people a good day. Like at Starbucks, I just wish the crew, hey, you guys have a great day. And I walk out and, people are saying, hey, it's Uncle Mike. Hey, how you doing? Right? And so I said, I hope you have a great day the other day to a Starbucks worker. And just as I was leaving, I happened to look out of the corner of my eye, and he had this like, that was cool. This guy told me to have a great day. And it's sort of like it made his day, somebody cared about him, so you got to do that. Also, too, in just offhanded conversations you have with people. Sometimes you tell them what you do and what you do, and they get interested. And when you leave, it's like it makes them wonder. So maybe I should look into this. Maybe I know somebody that does this type of work. I should go talk to them, right? So even just offhanded conversations that you have with people, like I say, you touch more people than you know. So take advantage of that. Do that freely. Do that without reservation, right? Um, it doesn't cost you anything, and it makes you feel good, right? So give it a shot. That's all I have to say.
Great, thanks. Alina is next.
So on a very, very mundane level, crystals aside, the one thing that I think I did right when opening the first business was hiring a registered agent. Um, so that was the idea that I got from my course on spiritual business. And I researched how much it would cost to open a business here in Kentucky, where I am. And and then I found the registered agent, and they happened to have like a special for the first year. So opening the business in Kentucky was $40. Registered agent charged 35. So the best $75 I ever spent. Okay. They've done everything for me. They just sent me a link. Here's where you put your email and password that we set for you, and then you go change your password, and you're all set. And after I worked with them for a year, I stopped it because I could take it from there. But they're they were amazing. I was like, I don't know what I would do without them, especially with the first time. When I opened my second business, that's when I realized that registered agent is invaluable because they get all the junk mail. And I was flooded with it with my second business. I was like, okay, now I understand why people turn to, the third party to open it. So that was one of the things that uh I can't recommend necessarily because it's hard to recommend when you don't know the price for running a business in a certain state. But if you are able to, a registered agent can be invaluable in that first year. Um, and also, we always use the word like-minded. I prefer the word like-hearted people because our minds may not necessarily be in the same place. We are not the same. We may think differently, but our hearts are in the same place. We are, here for same thing when it comes to the heart placement. And you know, that's the kind of people that I always search for. Um, my student group has become one of these people, and also, yes, I am going to double down on that. MeWe Fair has become that place where I found people whose heart are in the same place as mine. Mind may not be, and it doesn't matter, but the heart is where my heart is. So, and I would not be here otherwise. Okay, I can tell you that. Um, so that's one thing. And also, you know, crystals and boo-boo stuff, it's all great, but you have to eat every day. And Uncle Sam wants his share. So it's like keep yourself grounded. Stay where you are. Stay on the ground. Stay on the soil. However you can, because it's important to not just fly into the astral space. Every time you need to, write a check or pay a bill.
All right, great. Thank you. Let me see if I have any other thing of like what worked so well in the beginning. So I love what you said about going, like putting myself in community of people that I value, that I look up to. that are my peers, and seeing them more and more as my peers as I gain confidence myself. And then realize that I have something to offer. So I have a book that I co-wrote that comes, it doesn't actually mention eye readings, but it talks about all the philosophy behind everything that I do and the reason why I do it and how it's helpful to people. And so even if it wasn't explicitly metaphysical, I went to metaphysical resources like local bookstores to give book talks. Like I had something to share, even if it wasn't specifically, I don't know, kind of like flowed into this context the same way that a lot of others of us have that have been in the context when things arise. Like I have something to share in my own perspective and the things that I know and that I have access to. And so trusting myself to be able to share with other people and going to community to help find resources to do that, and be bold and just put stuff up online. Just I'm offering an event and I start off doing for free or low prices and yeah, just trust that people are interested. And it's up to me to find what language resonates with them, and it's up to me to put the events out there, and and that's how things built. So being around people and then being willing to just let my work out and to have it be available to people. So that's how I grew all kinds of things. Yeah, anyone else want to share anything from just the beginning? I know a number of us answered, so we have some more complex general questions and then one question just converted from a general question to a specific question. So I'm leaning towards just heading there. All right, let's see. So let's see. So the juicy question. So how can we wean potential clients off the freebies and the demos, and such as in practice circles, and into paying clients? So to me, this is similar to like for anyone that's starting. So, and this is we have things like practice circles or other places where people have been doing practice sessions. And so they're doing free or yeah, they're basically doing free sessions as they're learning and growing. And to me, I'm analogizing this to when I got started in when I first started my coaching practice, because I initially started coaching before I realized I was doing anything intuitive, etc. All of the friends that knew me as a friend, and they didn't know me as a coach. They didn't know me as someone that was providing something. And so how do I go about shifting so that people can see me as someone that's offering services to them? So yeah, so what advice do we have in this context? So I think it's similar of the people around us, if we're out of the closet, whatever we're doing, and they know, and then what do we do? And then, we're in the community and people are knowing us, but then how do we shift that over so that people begin to pay? All right, great. And so we've got Mike, Tiffany, and Sandra in line. What a great question. All right, go ahead, Mike. And I'll go ahead and time us. So when we get to 3 minutes, I'll just let everyone know, like if you're still in the middle of like juicy answer and stuff, you can go a little bit longer. We don't have a lot of questions at the moment, but just so we're kind of tracking time. So go ahead.
Okay, this is a very complex question. And the reason I say that is because it's a topic that goes way back that a lot of people are sometimes afraid to talk to, some are reluctant to talk to. There's so many reasons that affect when you charge and what you charge and blah, 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 right? Um, and I've discussed this in previous circles before, and there was a really cool article by Patty Wood on the Tarot School's Tarot Tips newsletter that talked just about this subject. I'm going to try and give you the kind of the Reader's Digest version of this, right? If you're starting out and you're working and you're doing readings, obviously you want to try and do them for free so you can get more expertise, right? That's great. That's great. Do that. After a while, after like about a year, 2 years, or whenever you feel like you're really confident that everything's just working for you, everything's in the slot. Like when I was doing my tarot readings about 14 months in, I was getting like constant, you're right on the money. I can't believe you saw this, blah, blah, blah. That was the time I said, okay, I'm going to start charging for my readings, right? So just like I did when I had my database consulting business, I charge a very simple price, a very basic price, right? You do that for a while. But once you start building a following and once you get really good at what you're doing, and only you will know when you do, then it's time to start charging a professional price, right? And again, this is a subject that can go on and on. I'm just giving you the Reader's Digest version. So once you do that, two things happen. I found this to be exactly like my database consulting business when this happened to me there. Once you start charging professional price, you get better clients. The clients are going to listen to you and pay attention. That's the biggest thing. Because I guarantee you, whether it's database consulting or whether it's tarot consulting, people have to have some skin in the game. If they don't, they sort of take it, well, blah, blah, blah. He said this, he said that. I'm going to go see this other person. Or, they sort of halfway listen to you. They don't pay attention. That's human nature. You can't change that. I'm not judging that. I'm not making any type of comment about it. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. But once you start charging more a professional price, attitudes change. When I started charging my price that I've got now, people were like this, listening and paying attention what I was saying and looking at my cards and looking at me and trying to make sure that they were getting what I was saying. Big difference. That's what you want because you're trying to serve these people. You are trying to be the conduit between spirit and the universe to get your message out or to get whatever service out, right? So in this climate, in this time change, in this culture, this is what you have to do. Again, not judging, it just is. And the sooner you can wrap your mind around that and make it work for you, the better. The better you can make this more of a profession. The better you can make this more of something that pays what you do. I got the time, so if you want to talk about it further, let me know. I'm open to discussing this anytime for any reason, for any length.
This is great. And we have another recording where you talked about how the transition of all this in your consulting practice. So yeah, so there's other ways to hear more of Mike's story too. It's great. Thanks for referencing this again. We have Tiffany and then Sandra.
So when I first started out, I did do some free readings. I offered to all of my friends and family and just did it in exchange for testimonials. But currently, I don't do any free readings. I don't do let's meet for 15 minutes to see if we're a good fit. It's either you want to purchase it or you don't. As far as getting people converted, and you have to have healthy boundaries. So even my friends, when they call me, they don't expect me to work for free. They know that this is my business. I had a girlfriend call me earlier today. She was in a panic. She was crying. She had this whole situation. And she said, Tiffany, I don't expect you to work for free. Please send me your Venmo. I really need your help. And I helped her on the spot. I didn't have expectations, but she still chose to pay me because she knows this is my business and true friends don't want to use you. As far as converting from, different talks, panels, online stuff, I offer really juicy specials. I have been known to give out BOGO specials. You buy 3 coaching sessions, you get the 4th free. To me, I'm still making good money. So I don't care that they're getting a 4th one for free, but to them, people are impulse buyers and people love a good deal. So it's creating that urgency of, hey, I have 72 hours to get this special. I'm going to get it right now. That's just one of the tools that I use. So hope that helps.
That's great. Thanks. You only used a minute and a half. So if you have more you want to share, go ahead, or we can come back to you and you can share a little bit more too. All right. Sandra's next.
I totally agree with, Mike's story is my story exactly, and also Tiffany's. So I'm not going to repeat what they just said because that's what I was going to say. What I would add is when I started studying feng shui, and all feng shui is energy. The master I studied under said, never give anything for free because money is an energy. And so if I'm giving something away for free, I'm diluting my energy and the light that I have inside me that I want to give. She said, so I always tell people you need to buy something new. If you're going to add something for feng shui, you buy it new. You don't recycle something that's already in your house. Give whatever you had that could be used to somebody else and keep that energy flow going. Think of yourself as having value. And even if somebody says to me, well, can you just answer this one question? I say, sure, give me $1 and I'll give them 3 sentences. Because it's energy and it's that exchange of energy that is what I heard Mike talking about, because I'm valuable. I have good energy to share and a light that I want to help other people and share with. And so they will value it more when they're giving back energy, which is the money. And that helped me I started in 1973. Long time ago, and I did I gave away free to all my family and friends to learn the skills, but I wish I had heard this, what we're hearing now, back in 1973 when I first started out. So that's my 2 cents.
Great, thanks. And Mike wants to jump in with a little bit more.
Yeah, just a quick thing. If you're going to have a special, make it special. Don't do it all the time. That's a big problem and a big mistake that people make. Specials should be specials. You do them every once in a while, then people look forward to them. They want to see you for that. If you do it every time, it's like, I'm just gonna wait till the special, it'll be tomorrow, you know. J.C. Penney went out of business because they did this special every day. J.C. Penney was a great company, but they went out of business because they did specials every day. So again, from my marketing background at Microsoft, I'm telling you, if you're going to do a special, make it special. Do it only so often. That's all I gotta say.
Maybe I say one thing that I know ended up working really well for me that I had no idea it was going to happen as I was sharing my work as a coach and doing personality assessments in Colorado. And then it was right before I moved to the Pacific Northwest that I had a colleague tell me I was doing claircognizant stuff and the whole metaphysical world opened up for me when I moved to a new city. So moving to a new place or sharing at a new place online, it's much easier. And that way you're not worried about trying to convert the people that already are used to getting things for free. So that's one thing. So new audience. So go to a new place. Another thing, and this was asked too about like the fairs where people are offering, smaller, simpler things at the fairs. So, oh goodness, a couple things. So one is to shift your behavior. So shift your behavior so that like when you come to, if you come to something like a practice circle, shift yourself from being the person coming to open your gifts to the person that's mentoring people. And by this, I mean share less when you do your samples, if you're going to do samples. The professional practitioners that come to help to run the event, they don't have to share anything with anyone. They don't have to do readings. I ask them to be available to give reflection, give feedback. If they want, they can give some tips and do some mentoring. They don't have to actually share any of their work with the partner that they're with. So if you're still kind of new, you could be transitioning so that you're sharing less, sharing shorter things. Only share the things where you're really getting value out of practicing instead of simply sharing to share. Similarly, with the online fairs, we had one practitioner that unfortunately is no longer with us, that he is the one that really started the process of doing the small readings or healings in the group where other people watch. And he was so brilliant at, the tip of the iceberg and then the huge iceberg under the water. And he would share with people what's the content that's relevant? What are the topics that he could share with them? So he's sharing insight in that these are the topics that are important, but he didn't share all the insight. So he made it really clear what he did for free. He did that for free for people. He used to have almost everyone come through his room at the fair. And so he shared a little bit. So very conscious to only share a bit. And so part of what can challenge the practitioners, all this stuff's coming through, like we want to share the flow of all of it. And it's learning to honor ourselves, learning to allow the flow sort of to flow in a different direction, not necessarily the person in front of you, is so that you don't share it all with them right then. And then also do enough work with people where it's paid in whatever way you're able to figure out at this time so that you get fed in giving the value to people and you don't have to do it with each person that you're in front of. And so getting paid in the beginning, so I'm a big fan of only charging what you really can embody and hold. So many different coaching programs give the advice that you need to charge this maximum amount, like Mike made a reference to a professional amount, but Mike staged this. So charge an amount that you can really embody where it doesn't interfere in your ability to share your gift. And as you start to realize you want more and you deserve more, charge more. And so in that way, shifting upwards, have an abundance of the people that are hiring you where you can share. And that way you won't feel as much of a need to give to the people that are wanting something for free. All right, we've got Jenny in line next. Go ahead.
Something very simple also is just ask if they would like a session. So I have increased my session rates in terms of how many people want a session with me, probably 80% when I do that at events in particular. So I was just at an event recently. I mentioned it a little bit ago. It was up here in Olympia. It was an in-person event. And instead of me thinking, oh, I don't want to be that seller in the booth, right? That's going to act like I'm trying to grab them and pull them into my booth. I would just be very friendly with them. And I'd just say, hey, would you like a reading? And that's the approach and the attitude and asking, because most of the time they actually did want to. And it was my intuition. I just had a feel for it too. So it was kind of my intuition coupled with asking. And so that's may sound simplistic, but sometimes we don't ask.
Yep, that's great. All right. And Alina's got something to share.
Uh, as everybody else was talking, I all of a sudden remembered one thing. I was at work. I work in the public library, and a security guard started talking to me about what I do, on my free time, and the card reading kind of popped up into the conversation. And then she asked me, "Do you do freebies?" That was the first question that she asked. I looked at her and I asked, "Do you work for free?" Um, Right, because she gets a paycheck for what she does. She's a security guard. I get a paycheck for what I do at the library, and I also get paid for what I do when it comes to energy work. Energy work is work, and it takes energy. Okay. Um, and really, the only person that I ever would read for free to, besides, the practice circles that we do, because I agree to that. Like I kind of, I sign up to do the free readings when I go to a practice circle, but like IRL, the only person that I would read for free to, who's not in my family, is one of my friends, and she to me is also like a practice circle, and she's always like, can you do a reading? Can you like put practice on me? Because have you ever done a reading on like getting a new cat or something like that? And I'll be like, okay, well, let's try. There's not much commitment going on, but also, she writes things down and she brings feedback. That's one thing that I value about that. Um, she will tell me months later how it all turned out. So, but otherwise, like energy work is work, and nobody works for free, no, neither should you.
I guess maybe I'll throw in there too. I have very few friends where I might trade with them, where I give to them and they give to me and it's equal. And then there are some other people in my life that um, I'm imagining they see it as they have a role in mentoring me, and so they share some things with me. But there are other ways that I would then share something with them, even if it's not exactly the same thing. So occasionally I do that, and that's a conscious choice. And I have my business cards set up where I give free samples to anyone that wants one. I do a sample and I have to do this dance inside of, do I share more? If I want to share more sometime, do I really want to do that or not? Like, what do I do that honors me? I know that people often need multiple touches, and I'm doing something that's weird that people don't know. And, so I have to do it in a way that I feel joy about and I feel energized by, not something that feels like a burden or I resent. Like then I'm defeating myself and I'm keeping myself from being able to share my gift. So yeah, something that's like going to be shifting what you're doing and shifting where you're doing it and who you're doing it with and all those different kinds of things. Anyone have anything else for an answer here? And the person that asked the question in the private chat, if you want to say anything about the answers, if we have not touched on something that's coming up, let us know. There are lots of practitioners that have long-term professional practices that come to the online fairs and they offer things at the online fairs. It's a way of giving people samplers, doing marketing, aiming to reach many people at once, not just that one person, and still getting paid. So whatever you've been doing I guess it's so interesting, right? The online fairs, there's so many things to getting people to your room and then interested in doing something with you. And it's how you articulate what it is, what you say what it is, the diversity of things you have. Like there's so many things. It's not just the price. And the price matters also. Yeah. All right, great. There's nothing else about that specific question. All right, we've got some other general questions. And so maybe everyone that's here, just like we dove deeply into that question, if you've got a question you want us to answer, let us know. It's only $20, $24, $28, or $12 for BIPOC folks, and we will give you a nice, thorough answer from all of our perspectives. Maybe I have the benefit of knowing what that last person is too. Maybe I will look and see if you have some beliefs around goodness and like if there was anyone in your life that held things back. There's a word that I can feel that I can't get to but like someone that held too much to themselves and didn't give enough and didn't share, and like any fears you have of being that person. So look and see what beliefs you have around someone that's stingy, um, or any need that you have to be good and that you'd have to like give enough away to be good. So if you can find your own goodness and you know that you're not stingy, you know that you flow as you want to flow and that's in alignment with you. You know, and I think that getting paid is just it's building our energy to be able to share with more people. So getting paid isn't selfish. It's a way that we are allowing ourselves to be of service and to be utilized by the universe. So look and see about those kinds of things for you. And yeah, some personal things that might be there. Great. The person is saying, thank you so much. All right, great. All right. So if someone else has a personal question that you want to ask, let us know. Let us know in the chat or private chat me and let me know if you want it to be confidential. And so we had some other general questions here. Let's see. So this got directed more towards Mike, because Mike, you talked about so many different career changes, but some of us have done that too. So what did we learn about ourselves and about our, say, our purpose in taking so many different career steps? Do we see, looking back, do we see a purpose for each step? Like, did we make changes just because we were bored and those changes weren't really of service? So I think the person's kind of generally asking, how do they know when to make a change and when not? Or like, yeah, making a change that's really helpful, you know, that's not just random and all those kinds of things. So yeah, hand it to Mike first and then anyone else that has comments about that.
Oh, this is going to be good. So, the 4 careers I've had, I sort of started mentally, saying, yes, this is what I want to do on the first one, being a musician. When I left home from El Paso and joined the Navy band, everything went out the window, and I was just guided by spirit as the way that was going to work out. So here's the thing. Here's the way my four careers worked out. I didn't plan anything. It just fell in my lap or a door opened and I decided to go through it. I said, hey, let's try this. Like acting. Quick story on acting. I was doing tarot readings for an agent in Seattle at a fair. Great reading. She loved it. Didn't see her a year later. Another person from the fair was, we should have our own little fair. Well, I know a lady down in Georgetown. She's got a new place. Maybe she'll sponsor us. Let's go talk to her. So we went up, go upstairs. This lady comes running at me. Hey, Mike. Now, I've been around for a long time and I know a lot of people. I don't know, I'm not good with names, but I'm good with faces. So I'm thinking, okay, so where do I know this lady from? Where do I know? She gives me a big hug and I hug her back and where do I know this lady from? Been wanting to talk to you. I said, why? You did a great tarot reading for me last year and I've been wanting to talk to you since then. Okay, what? I want you to join my acting resume roster. What? Why don't you be an actor? You have a great personality. You have a great way of talking. You'd be great. You should do it. Right? And that's how my acting career started. Just by a tarot reading and a 3-hour meeting with her and her partner. And they convinced me, okay, let's give it a shot. And I did. And I went out right, 100% heads down, learned the stuff, and off we went. So what I've learned is a couple of things. Always learn. Always learn. Don't be afraid of learning. There's a Japanese word for this. It's having the beginner's mindset, right? In fact, a phrase that I believe in that I've made myself is the true master is he who knows that he is forever a student, right? So never be afraid to learn. Take risks. Just take risks. If something comes up and you think you might want to try it. Because here's status quo. You're on status quo right now. Something comes up. Hey, let's try it. So you try it. It didn't work out. Okay, so we're back at status quo. What did you lose? Here's status quo. I'm going to try this. You try it. It worked. Cool. Now I got a new status quo, right? And then you start going from there, right? So never be afraid to take risks. And lastly, learn to say, I don't know. It's okay. In fact, that actually builds confidence. It really does. If you can sit there and say, I know what I know, this is the way I'm imparting to you what I'm saying. Do you know this? No, I don't. That worked for me at technical conferences that I was doing for Microsoft beautifully. I did technical training for my product group, and I knew what I knew, and I went real confidently, and I was doing my sessions, and somebody asked, what about this? I don't know. I've never tried it that way. Tell you what, let me ask somebody during the break, and I'll get back to you on it. Everybody respected me for it because I said, I don't know. So don't be afraid of that. It's totally fine. You know what you know. Be confident. Be strong, right? So so I think that's pretty much what I've learned from my career is just take risks, always learn, have an open mindset, be confident, have fun, enjoy life. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Maybe I'll say too, just everything ended up being of service for me in weird ways that I never had any idea. Back when I was in high school, I wanted to get off campus for lunch, and my mom would not let me off. She was like super controlling, and I wanted to get off campus. And well, I got a sneaky side. All you just know, I occasionally, right? I do this kind of thing. I used to make little fake lunch passes to get myself off campus. And it turned out that the artwork tools that I was using were useful for intellectual property later, right? For making photocopies and erasing things and more photocopies and all that. So you just never know when the tools that you learn doing something are going to be useful later. So yeah, everything's just generally worked out that way. So it's all hindsight, but yeah. All right, Alina.
Um, uh, One thing I learned from the infamous stand-up comedian Kathy Griffin is never turn a gig down. uh, whatever you whatever people ask you to do, the gig, the anything that you're asked to work to do, whether it's go on stage or go in front of one person or say something or write something or sing or dance something. And trust me, I have four left feet. uh, it's a bad idea, but I'll still do it. Why? Because that can turn out to be something much bigger and much more exciting than you thought it would be. Yes, even with your four left feet. So that's one thing. Anything, if I'm asked to do anything, I'll be like, let me just try. Okay. So what's the worst case scenario? I'll fail. Okay, so I'll walk away with my tail between my legs and go to sleep till next day. Fine. Uh, but what if oops is always better than what if? Okay. So don't turn the gig down. That's like one thing that I always adhered to. And I had my fair share of failures, but honestly, I had more successes than failures, just because I said yes to pretty much everything. um, and also, one thing I already touched on that just a little bit. If you feel like you're outgrowing yourself, like you can now do more. I started out with crystals, and then I proceeded to neurographics and card reading and astrology. And I realized that my little down to earth crystal healer is like cracking at the seams at this point. Well, that was the time to expand, to rebrand, and to add on to that. I never stopped working with crystals. I just added more tools to it. Um, but that was my signal that uh, it is probably time to do something else, because you're growing. You need more space on the shelf than you have now, because now you have more books and library lingo. But it's that. So those are the two things that kind of worked for me when it comes to um, growing and expanding.
That's great. I know Sandra's in line. I'm going to toss in this one little thing in between. It's perfect fit after yours. So while say yes when the opportunities arise, and also say no when you know it's not a good thing. So someone once from my previous thing in my life asked me, could I work for them to do blah, blah, blah? And it was this thing in intellectual property, and I could, and I'm good at it, and I'd make money. And I just feel so much pain in my body with the idea of doing it. I knew it was a bad idea. So when it's needed, say no. All right, Sandra's next.
Well, I was going to say what Lorelei was saying is that be so in touch with your intuition that I have a lot of things that I'm really, really good at, and I hated them. I hated doing them. And that I love teaching, but I love the part of teaching where I can be creative and I can see people's minds going, wow, wow, wow. I hated the admin. And yet I was stuck in this path, and it was so if your question was about when do you leave, it's about getting in touch with your internal intuition. Everybody has it, and trusting it. So you can start working with the pendulum to gain better intuition so that you trust your intuition, but your body, your gut knows what's right for you. So if you get an opportunity and you go, that sounds interesting, go do it. I took the term fail out of my vocabulary because I never fail. Every time I've gone into something and it hasn't worked out, I've learned. So I've never failed, ever. I've just learned. And once you do that, you start being more reflective and keeping the lessons that you've learned as your tool in your toolbox. So, yeah, I love taking chances. I'm a risk taker anyway, but I know everybody isn't a risk taker. But if you're a little bit afraid of it, but also excited about it, that's when you take a risk. But if you're just interested and you're fearful, don't do it. That's your body, your intuition telling you, oh no, you could do it, but don't do it. Anyway.
All right, great. Mike's got a little bit more.
I'm on.
Yep.
I want to follow up with something Sandra said about your intuition. One thing I always tell people about intuition is always trust your gut feeling, your intuition. It will never fail you. It may not tell you what you want to hear. You may not agree with it. It may sound totally like, what? But it will always serve you well. So please learn to follow your intuition.
Great. Any more shares on that comment question about making career changes and shifts and lessons? And if we go back, this is a more complex question. I kind of remember some of it. It had to do with if we're in a spiritual business ourselves, so we use all these tools. We're in this context of spirituality, and I think of it too of just like we're as conscious as we are. What do we do when we're interacting in business with someone that's not as conscious as us, doesn't use these tools, a muggle? Like, how do we engage? And I was just thinking that it's very different if it's more of a client or a contractor and someone I'm hiring, or if it's a peer in a different context, like a networking group, like how I interact with them is different. But there probably are themes for what do we do from our context relating to someone in a different context. Is there anything you want to say about that? Go ahead, Tiffany.
This question kind of brought to mind a couple weekends ago, I had finished writing my ebook, Spiritual Ghost Busting 101. And when I went to work, I actually work as a commercial banker right now. My boss asked me what I did over the weekend. I said, I wrote an ebook, and I was all excited. And then when she asked me what it was about, I went, crap, I got to explain. Oh my God. So I gave kind of an educational speech. Well, it's about spiritual ghost busting, and I just kind of gave her the tools she would need to understand what it was about without freaking out, like, oh my God, who is this chick? I do take into account who I'm talking to. So if I'm talking to someone who's totally into star seeds, I'm going to use all my favorite buzzwords. But if I'm talking to someone who doesn't know anything about it, I tone it down and talk to them just like I would a business client that's not part of my spiritual business. But I weave in the important parts of what they need to know. So I might explain concepts a little bit more, or just change my verbiage. But I do definitely take into account who my audience is before I start going on a tangent about all the spiritual woo stuff,
Great. Next, we've got Mike and then Sandra.
So it's just like Tiffany said, the crucial thing, marketing 101, know your audience. That's the best thing to do. Secondly, the most important thing, just be genuine and authentic and yourself. That's it. That's all you have to worry about. As long as you know your audience and you're yourself, everything's fine. Because at that point, you don't have the responsibility of how people react to you. That's their issue. As long as you're being authentic and genuine and honest, that's all you need to do. That's your end of the conversation, your end of the bargain. The way they react to that is their business. And if you understand that early on, it makes conversations so much easier. Not all of them, but most of them.
I was gonna say there's some things implied in there about knowing your audience. There's something about how much you choose to meet your audience. So being authentic, and there's something about meeting them too, right?
Yes. Yes. So yeah, sometimes you have to meet an audience halfway. Sometimes you have to gauge what you're doing. I mean, it's a very delicate type of thing. It really depends on what you do for a living and the types of audiences you have. I mean, I would be different at an executive briefing I was doing at Microsoft than at a conference that I was doing for tech ed, than a talk I was doing for the tarot school up in New York at a tarot conference, right? Different types of people. Again, knowing your audience, you know how you need to phrase things, you know how you need to say things. So if you do this long enough, you learn how to make adjustments in your speech, how to make adjustments in the way you speak, how to make adjustments in what you say and what you don't say, and the content that you give. Again, that can be a long discussion, but I mean that's just the gist of it.
That's great. And then we've got Sandra. Tiffany's got some more to share, and Jenny.
So I have a certificate in NLP, and NLP says that communicate at the level of your listener, because that's who you're talking to. The other thing that has really helped me are the 4 agreements. And one of them is never take anything personally, because it's always about, as Mike said, it's always about how they're going to take it. If I sit and go in my head here about how are they going to take that, how are they going to perceive me, I've lost it. So I try to speak from my heart at all times, know who I'm speaking to, listen. My intuition tells me. I don't have to think about it in my head. My intuition will tell me this person isn't going to get that verbiage that you would normally use in that circumstance. So it's about, again, your intuition is there for a reason. It's our blessing, it's our gift. Use it and know your audience and speak at that level.
Okay, next we've got Tiffany and then Jenny.
So when I told my boss that I had written that book and she asked the title and I told her the title, she continued to ask me questions. She was genuinely curious. Had she not asked me, all these other questions, I mean, we had a good long conversation about spirituality, about all the different cultures that entities can come from, about galactic astrology. It went on. But she had genuine interest and she kept asking me questions. If the person you're talking to isn't asking you more questions or isn't acting curious about it, that's maybe when I might steer the conversation a different route or go into something more generalized. But if the interest is there, I mean, keep going. And just have to say, I love the 4 agreements, Sandra. I read that book as a teenager and I've read it several times since, by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., if you guys don't know. I have lived my life by that. If I took everything personally, I would probably not leave my house.
Thanks, Tiffany. Jenny's next.
It's really interesting because there's a lot of work that I do with an assessment tool that I'm certified in, and it assesses like career and behavior and personality and things like that. And many times I will, and this is a very corporate kind of setting that I'm doing this in, and sometimes I will get these outrageous downloads about, like, I'll just, an example of somebody will say, hey, maybe as a kid.
Oh, wait, you got muted there. Let's get you unmuted. Something in the universe got scared to hear you say that. All right, let's go. We're ready for it. You said you get some downloads and we didn't hear the download.
Okay. I did that for dramatic. Anyway, so a lot of times I'll get these downloads when I'm working with people on this assessment tool. It can be as simple as just out of nowhere, I'll get this idea. You give them an example, an analogy, or a story of, let's say, you wanted to coach Little League when you were a kid or something. And almost every time the person goes, well, I did coach Little League as I was a kid. But what I've found is that I know the feel of the downloads. They have a certain quality to them. But how I deliver them makes a big difference. So sometimes it's not even about what I'm saying. It's like how matter of fact I am about it. And then what happens is that opens a door, and door number 1 is they go, oh, okay. And they just move on. Door number 2 is like, wow, where did you come up with that? And I said, oh, I have a download. Really? Well, I get downloads too. So just trust that some of that stuff that you bring through, just say it. and you don't have to couch it or necessarily think, oh my gosh, what if they don't understand? Same as other people have said here tonight, really, but just the how is sometimes what I add to this story here.
That's great. And sometimes it's great to know that the person's not a fit. The context is not a fit. You know, someone that has a negative reaction to whatever it is we're sharing, like, okay, that's information. And Mike's got a little bit more. Go ahead.
I find out in my tarot practice that the how is a very important tool to use, because when I'm conveying the message that the cards say, sometimes the how is crucial for the message that they need to hear. I'll give you a quick little example. A young couple came up to me at a psychic fair one time and they said, our grandmother's dying. Is she going to die soon? Now, I have only seen death in the tarot like maybe 3 times actual. I did this spread and I saw it's clear as day that she was going to pass away. My job as a tarot reader is to convey the message I see in the cards. My job as a human is to convey that in such a way that they can actually assimilate it and deal with it. And I'm glad I got this tarot reading at a later age, because I was experienced enough age-wise to understand how to say things to people. So the other thing I told her, I said, you know, your grandmother, see, according to the cards, your grandmother seems like she's made peace with her, what's going on. She's made peace with it. My advice to you would be just to spend more time with her, enjoy her, let her enjoy you, and don't worry about the when. Just, she's, like I said, she's made her peace with it. She's good with it. It's done. And they left very, very happy. They were so like amazed. They were like a weight had been taken off their shoulders. They weren't going to worry about it anymore. They were going to go spend time with Graham. And so it was the way that I conveyed it. It was the how that was important. And that's, yeah, it's important. So sometimes you got to pay attention to how you say things.
Great. And I'll just kind of wrap this in too to say that this is part of the art of learning to do readings with people. So even if you've gotten skillful enough to be able to convey useful healing or information through you, learning how to do it that best meets people where they are. This is like a craft, an art that we keep getting better and better at. All right. Do we have any more general questions, or does anyone else want to ask us a personal question? Because we want to support you directly with what's happening in your business and your life. Are there any other general questions I missed? Yeah. Well, anything else coming up for any of you hearing this conversation? The 6 of us? Yeah. I'm having a great time with who's on the panel tonight. It's lots of fun. Maybe this is kind of a little bit related to the career switch, but it's different. It's in the entrepreneurial business itself. If someone has something new that they want to start offering, right? It might be a new class, it might be a new service, new product. What are some of the what are some of the things that you tell someone of, like, what are the big things to check in to see if you want to go more that direction? Like if it's a good thing for you to go more that direction, put more of your time and energy into this new thing. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Not sure if I really know how to answer that, but I would just say I don't limit myself. Like I still do crystal jewelry wraps at the fairs. If you see, I have my tools there and I'm still making those. I still do coaching. I do galactic astrology. And then I transitioned into teaching and writing books. And I don't put myself in a box. I'm never going to fit in a box. So I say if it's something you want to do, go for it. If you end up not liking it, take it off the table. No big deal, right? I don't know. I diversify myself and do all the things that I'm interested in. And that keeps me feeling happy. Maybe not everybody wants to do as many things as I do, but if your heart's calling to it and it feels right, go for it.
Great, thanks. We've got Sandra and Mike next.
Well, back in the 70s, I learned about chanting, and I had an active chanting practice, and it really helped me. And then as I kind of got away from it and came back into it, I realized that if I have my, I don't think you can see them in front of the thing. If I have my beads every day, have an chani practice, and I'll choose different things to chant about, but at the end of it, I always do at least 27 beads of surrender. Back in 2019, I channeled I do this every year. At the end of the year, I have a free thing about what's going to happen in the next year. And so that in 1919, it said that the world is going to change dramatically and people will have an opportunity to really find out how they deal with crisis, how they deal with life. And of course, 2020 came and we had COVID. So that's when I really started understanding the power of surrender. And that word came to me in the channel of, this is a year where you're going to have to surrender. And surrender doesn't mean giving up. Surrender means going inside and giving the power back to your spirit, which your spirit is. And all of the chants, if you look at the Hindu chants about surrender, are about that. So in surrender, when I do the last one is surrender, I do it when I'm sitting at the in-person shows. I'll just sit and chant about surrendering, that whoever is going to get value from what I have to offer will come to me. And just allowing myself to be one with the universe and the universe to come. And then after I've done the surrender, I do at least 27 beads of gratitude. Just being grateful that if nobody comes and wants me, I'm still going to be grateful. If nobody finds me of value, I'm still going to be grateful. I have not found it has really served me well. So I make my own mala beads. I sell them, but it's a really powerful thing to do. And I can't get into all of the things that it does when you're chanting with your voice, connecting to your vagus, connecting to your pineal gland. Chanting, vocalizing, and doing that harmonizing brings in the music element. It just goes on forever and ever. So that's what I do, is surrender.
Great, thank you. Alina, if you want to share your little aside in the chat just before we go to the next answer.
Okay, this is gonna sound really weird. I went to the movies today, and it's the second time that I hear this phrase, exactly that. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. And the first time I heard it was when I was at the movies watching some movie commercial or movie ad where a movie character said, surrender doesn't mean giving up. The movie was Christian based, but the whole point is, and then you say it all of a sudden. Yeah, I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know what to do with it just yet. I made a note of that. So we'll see what's comes through. But yeah, that was just really odd.
Can I just add that the analogy that I wrote down in 2019 for 2022 or 2020 that came to me is, surrendering is like you're driving on ice and suddenly your car goes into a skid. If you're on ice, if you've never driven on ice, you don't know that. But what you do is you don't hold on to the steering wheel and try to control it because it's out of control. You surrender to what is. You keep your hands on the hand on your steering wheel, and when it starts to slow down, you gently steer out. And that's what surrender means to me. I'm not giving up. I'm recognizing I'm in danger here. How do I deal with that, and allowing myself to move out of that life-threatening spin on black ice? So
Yep, flowing with. All right, we've got Mike and then Jenny.
So Tiffany was saying something about she doesn't let anybody define what she does or doesn't do. That was me too. When people tell me you can't do this, I sort of sit around, well, just watch me, and off we went. So I can, but I can see where there are people who haven't a problem trying to do that. I think people like Tiffany and myself are real go-getters. We're real confident. We don't want to be defined. We're going to do our own definition. There's other people who have a harder time doing that. And I think it's those folks who just need to again, ground more, learn that actually, if my careers have taught me nothing, it's that the only one that can hold yourself back is you. That's it. Nobody can hold you back except yourself. So once people have that mindset, it's amazing how they start to say, I think I might try this. And I ask them, okay, so what would you want to do that you every morning you get up and you can't wait to get up because you want to go start doing it? I said, ask yourself that question. And if you find something that answers that question, that's what you should be doing. And try everything you can to do it. It might take some time to do it, but who cares? Try it anyway. There was another thing that Sandra was saying about the people seeing her that needed to. I was in a conversation once where I was asked, do I ever mind that there's so many other tarot readers in the psychic fair that I'm doing? And I sort of laughed and said no. And the person asked me why not. I said, well, here's the thing. I don't have an ego enough that thinks everybody has to see me. My position on this is the people that need to see me, Spirit will send to me. The people who need to see Bill will send it. They'll go to Bill, to Sarah. It doesn't matter. The people who need to see me will come to see me. Enough said. No need for competition. We're all good. And that's been my philosophy in life. So I hope you take away some good stuff from that.
Yep, great. Jenny.
I work with lots of people that are in career transition because they've been laid off. And one of the things that I hear frequently is, I am done with the tech industry. There's so many layoffs. I've been laid off 3 times in the past 5 years. I want to pivot and become a nurse or something like that. And so, I always listen because there's a reason that they picked that particular thing. And what I do is I just help them. And a lot of people have been talking tonight about grounding. It's so important because there's the intuitive side and there's the passion side, and then there's the grounding. And it's the grounding, it's the feet on the street that are going to get us to our dream, to what it is that we want to do. So I talk to them about simple things like, well, tell me, when do you need your first paycheck in your bank account? And they kind of look at me like, what? Because I didn't say, when do you need to start your job? I said, when do you need your first paycheck in your bank account? Because that's a different conversation. And then I don't say to them, don't pivot, don't go to something new, don't go to something that's calling you. I say, how, when, what are we going to do? How sharp of a pivot? Because when you're going, if you think about a big cargo ship versus a speedboat, when we make a shift, the speedboat can turn on a dime. That cargo ship's going to take a little longer. It's still going to turn, they're both going to turn, but they could take a little bit longer. The other thing is sometimes people get very fixated in how they think, in the way that they think about how they're going to get there. For example, and this is a true story, there was a couple that wanted to send their kid to a great college, and they thought, how are we going to afford the tuition? There's no way. Well, honey, I guess you better get a second job, and maybe even I'll do some part-time thing on the weekend. And so they were looking at this East Coast school and just thinking it was going to be impossible. And all they could think about was money, 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 tuition, tuition, tuition. So they started digging in and doing some research. And honestly, this is a true story. Don't know if it's still true to this day, but it was back then. So there was a lot of East Coast colleges that were offering free tuition to West Coast students. And they heard about that. And so they sent their kids successfully to this college, one of the colleges over there. So the point is, did they need the tuition? Or did they need the means, the path to get there? So those are my 2 thoughts. Pivoting can be in baby steps and relative to where you're at in your life. It's not that you have to say no, it's how, when, and where. And the same thing about getting out of our mind about how we think it has to happen.
Yeah, that's great. I went to grad school, and when I first told my parents that I was going to grad school, I didn't tell them that I was applying, but I told them after I got in. They panicked, and it turned out that maybe one reason why they never talked to me about anything about grad school is because they just thought they couldn't afford it. And so there was never any part of the conversation. All of a sudden I said, I'm going to grad school. And they're, I got a stipend. I paid for it, that way. So yeah, it's great. All right. Any other general topics we want to explore before we finish up tonight? Maybe is maybe given the metaphysical gifts that we all have, is there a time in your entrepreneurship where your gifts played such a big role in your making a realization or a shift or something that you really surprised you? Like where just being open to your gifts and using your gifts has been so important to the evolution? Go ahead, Jenny.
I was talking with a friend over dinner one time. She started talking about her dad who had passed away, and I felt him there. And I don't consider myself an official medium or channel or any of that, but I felt him and I started talking about him and I started describing his outfit and I took on his accent and, just for fun. And she was looking at me like this. And so that was definitely a time where I was like, okay, there's something here that I never would have thought was a gift or a skill because I had it boxed up in a package. If you're a medium, you look like this and you have to have this training and you have to have the gift or whatever, but it's not necessarily true because sometimes things like that get access, not because I was officially a medium or having training in it. It's because I had a plethora of other kind of intuitive and psychic skills that were all working together to bring me that information and put it through.
Great, thanks, Jenny. Alina's got something.
So I'll tap into astrology just a little bit. Every month on new moon, I do the same thing for the past 6 years. I write a list of 108 wishes. So some of the wishes are copied from the previous month or months, or even years. Some of them have been rolling over for a while. But others, as they either lose their significance for me or they come true, I just cross them out and come up with something new. Everything that I want, whether it's material or non-material, big, grand, huge, doesn't matter. So every month for the past maybe 3 years or so, I kept writing the same wish into that list. I want to run a spiritual business according to astrological transits. Um, and then just maybe in the past month or so, I realized that I have been doing it for the past few months, or maybe 6 months, maybe even a year, because every time I want to make a business decision, I want to, whether it's the sales tax report or any kind of business mundane things that I need to take care of, I look at the chart and I'm okay, Mercury is retrograde. We're gonna wait until it goes direct because before we do that, because this is gonna have to be rewritten anyway. I have rebranded during Mars retrograde. That is my biggest example. Mars was retrograde in my 12th house, and that's a house of spirituality. And that's exactly when I did that. Um, so this is not so much a gift that I have, but it's the skill that I acquired as I was learning natal astrology and Horary astrology. And I realized that, yeah, I've been using astrological transits to make business decisions all along for a while now. Maybe I should cross it out, or maybe I should just keep it because it's just a process. So sometimes those things just kind of come out of the blue and you stop, you turn around and you're like, oh, I got it.
Great. Great. All right. Well, maybe let's go ahead and we will close up for the evening. We do have another panel tomorrow. We have a panel on astrology tomorrow. I'll put information about that in the chat. First, I'll put the information about all the practitioners that are here tonight in the chat, including their specials. So everyone, let's go through again and say who you are, what you do, how people can reach out to you. So that's all in the video. And feel free to say whatever you want to about your special or anything else like that. Maybe we'll go in the same order that we did before. Tiffany, Sandra, Jenny, Alina, Mike, and me. Go ahead, Tiffany.
I'm Tiffany Rose, founder of Regal Rose Consulting, where intuitive insight meets creative strategy to help spirit-led entrepreneurs bring their visions to life. For years, I've helped coaches, healers, small business owners in building aligned and impactful brands. I design beautiful, functional websites, create cohesive graphics and content, help clients launch Etsy shops, social media campaigns, and refine their messaging to strategize and stand out with authenticity and soul. I love weaving the practical with the magical, whether it's marketing, branding, or simply helping clients move from stuck to inspired. A big part of my work includes emotional intelligence coaching and inner child healing, which helps entrepreneurs release imposter syndrome and limiting patterns so they can show up with confidence. I also offer spiritual hygiene coaching, clearing negative energy and unwanted spiritual interference from both entrepreneurs and their businesses, because aligned energy plus aligned strategy equals aligned success. My specials tonight are available for 72 hours, and some of the ones on my website are going to go longer than that. I have $99 90-minute business brainstorming session. That's nearly 50% off. And it can be on any aspect of your business, whether that's creative strategy, the colors on your website, how to present yourself on social media, any topic. $88 for 60-minute money Reiki session. So we can clear your blocks, clear your energy, activate your receiving, amplify your abundance. 15% off either an Etsy shop or a website creation. That's up to $300 off on a website. My ebooks are 60% off. You can find those on the homepage of my website, intuitivetiffanyrose.com, Spiritual Hygiene 101 and Spiritual Ghost Busting 101. All my Etsy Oracle readings are all 50% off. And most sessions on my website, from galactic astrology to energy clearings, etc., are up to 50% off. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tiffany. And she gave a great demonstration of how she talks about her work. So if you want help talking about your work, she does that too. Sandra's next.
Hi, I'm Sandra Jeffs. My website is sandrajeffs.com, and I have a plethora of things there. There are some free handouts for we've got a solstice coming up. I have something about the solstice. I do my New Year's prediction every year. I've got some feng shui handouts that are free. My website, I rarely have sales or promotions or specials. When I do these workshops, I usually give a 10 or 15%. That's the most. And it's usually just on my services, such as a theta healing or consult, a feng shui consult. But for Black Friday, it's 35%. That's the lowest it will ever be. So it's a really good time to, if you want to do a consultation or do some work with feng shui, that's a good time. But also all of my other products, all of my spiritual jewelry, all of my feng shui products are all on sale for 35%, which only happens this time of the year. I work with, I've studied and gotten certificates or degrees in, I think I counted 15, but it might be 16 different modalities. I just trust with my intuition. When I start working with somebody, I allow my intuition to tell me and just channel what's coming through, and work with whatever the person needs at that time. So come and see what I've got at my website, sandrajeffs.com. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Sandra. Next we have Jenny.
Jenny Cappella with Miracles with Jenny, and you can see my work at www.miracleswithjenny.com, and you can see a sample of Tiffany's work, because my website is an example of Tiffany's work. She helped me immensely with that, as well as my Etsy store, which you can also see, which Tiffany helped me set up. And it was really, it's really profound for me to be working with people at this time when there's so much happening on the planet. And how do I move forward? What am I, what energy is mine? What energy is theirs? What energy is the planet's evolution? It's just a lot going on. And I really specialize in helping people with a tool that I have called LaunchMap. And LaunchMap is a very powerful tool which helps you take any idea, any concept, and walk through a series of steps in about an hour and a half. By the end of it, you get to baby steps tangible steps that you could take to move your business idea forward, to move your career forward. And there's other topics you could choose as well, but tonight we're talking about business, so I'm specifically talking about that. My 1-hour sessions are 50% off if you buy them by December 4th. And I would love to have you as a client if you're interested in that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jenny. Next, we have Alina.
My name is Alina, and well, today I am indeed known as Subtle Matters. And my website has the handouts for today's presentation, as well as the free ebook that's called Crystals for Business. It will take you just a tad further than what I did when I was presenting. And you can use those materials to your heart's delight in your business and as you grow and expand. Um, I do not have any specials simply because I do have a full-time job that is not related to any metaphysical field. And I will make time for you if you just email or text me, and I'll figure something out. Otherwise, I will literally do it on the side, just like I am right now. My website is bio.site/subtle.matters. I think I have a typo in my background, but I'll figure that one out too. And my email is subtle.matters@outlook.com. Feel free to shoot any questions about anything you've heard today, or any comments or complaints. So, and I will listen to all of that. And thank you for coming. It was fun. I've never done this business panel before.
Great, thank you. Mike is away doing caregiving duties. He might be back in time to exit, or if he doesn't, I'm going to say again, that's Mike Hernandez. He does tarot readings, also business coaching, speaking coaching, all kinds of different things. And you can find out more about him at justenoughtarot.com or miketarot@gmail.com. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, and matchmaker. I read your eyes, read your soul, and answer all kinds of questions about your soul, your purpose, and help you make decisions about what you might do, who you do it when you do it, all kinds of different things. And I can help you find people that are a good fit for what you're up to, particularly for romantic matchmaking, my favorite. You can find out more about me at intuitiveeyereading.com, about my matchmaking work at matchmakingsoulmates.com. And if you're interested in the archetypes that I read in people's eyes, that's at thrivetypes.com. I teach people to read eyes. I have a recorded class on that. I've got a book on one of the most important traits I read in people, and happy to talk with you about what I do. So information about me is in the chat and on the websites, and looking forward to connecting with you. And all kinds of different MeWe Fairs events where you can experience me and my work and the community of all of us together. Tomorrow we have another panel. So just like this, it's a free panel where you can come listen to the subject matter and ask questions. And tomorrow's topic is astrology insights. So Alina is going to be on that panel tomorrow, along with another great group of practitioners. I just put a list in the chat, and I'll put a link in the chat to that one. We're excited to be able to share again. And let's see, let me just get the link for this one tomorrow. So this is about how astrology can help you in making all kinds of different decisions, how it impacts your life in ways that you might not realize. And so we're available to ask questions and use the tools of astrology to support you in that. Well, thank you everyone for being here today. It's been great having another business panel. We've been doing this every month or every few months, and exciting to do it again. I hope you all have a great flow in the new year is whatever you're stepping into in the journey of your spiritual business, whatever that is, whether it's emerging or flowing or growing. You can find out more about all of our events at joinmeweonline.com. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here. Thanks, practitioners. Thanks for audience and for your questions and the dialogue.